Hey guys, welcome back to another Maledictor update. This is going to be kind of a short one this month because I had to do several book covers this time around, but still managed to get some good work in, so let's jump on into it, starting off with the traditional more sprites. We're in a new level now, so need a lot of them. And then we've got some fixes from the last alpha test that we just did. The problems that we ran into with the last alpha test weren't really... I mean, they were major, but not major in a sense of things being fundamentally broken, just major in terms of weird things causing kind of important things to not work right. Most of it was from save loading, which makes a bit of sense because when I'm testing the game, I'm not really save loading all that much. You know, usually when I'm testing things in the game, I go into the game. Like, if I need to test a specific location, I don't really need to fight my way through a whole bunch of people. I just zoom to a spot on the map, right-click, and just do play from here, and I just appear there. Or if I'm trying to test something like an arcade game, then I can just, you know, drop the arcade game into the game at the very start of the level and then test it there. So I'm not really having to run around and save load that often. So some of these bugs did kind of escape me, and some of them actually for a lot longer than I thought they would, but I guess it's been a while between tests, so it makes sense. Anyway, fixed a bug with some gates on save loading. And what was happening with gates, it was a very strange bug. So, what would happen was when you would save load, if there was specifically a gate in the level, then it would just break on the save load. Like, it would either close itself, or it would do something like spawn in a second time, and it would be offset in a weird way. So basically what was happening was I updated the code for single doors and double doors, and the gates are children blueprints of the door code. So basically what that means is I applied some fixes to the doors worked, and then the gates, which I use much less often and only in very specific areas, they were updated in a way that didn't quite work for them, because they have kind of their own nuance to them. And so basically I just had to go in and add just a few things into the gates. The problem was just that they're infrequent, and usually at the start of a level, so you're not really having to save load, and if you do, then you're not really noticing the change with the gates because you're past them already. So that was that was a strange bug that has existed for forever and up until now was never really relevant. So yeah, my testers had to get pretty good at E1M7 and E1M7 in order to get past that without save loading, but fortunately they managed. Next, fixed a bug with corpses getting bigger on save loading. Yeah, so you notice a trend here with the save loading, and I was convinced that the save system was completely broken, but it actually turns out that it's just a couple of things that worked, that had like weird little interactions on being spawned in, then deleted, and then spawned in again. So with the corpses, it was basically just an issue of their scale being multiplied strangely. So all I had to do was save their normal scale and, you know, set their normal scale to 1 and then multiply it by the original scale. So, you know, if an enemy, for instance, is 1.1 times tall instead of 1, so they're a little bit taller than normal-sized enemies, then their corpse should be proportional. So it should be 1.1 times scale tall. And so what was happening was every time the body was getting spawned in, it would delete the old one and then spawn a new one with the 1.1 times scale. So every time you would save and load, the body would go 1.1 times 1.1, and then so that would go you would do that again, it would multiply that by 1.1. It would just keep on multiplying it, just adding 10% every single time. So eventually you could actually one of my testers, I actually watched him get a body up to the entire size of the whole level. So that was kind of a funny one, but fortunately that was a very easy fix too. A lot of these were very easy fixes, fortunately. Next, selected menu arrows more clear. That's just in the main menu. We put in our menu here. Actually, choose one that's got an arrow. So you can see the arrows are pretty dark now. You can obviously still see them, but what was happening before was they were just a little too bright to start with, so it was kind of hard to tell when you had one selected. It was really just an issue on controller, because, you know, if you have a mouse, you can obviously see what you're selecting with your mouse, but with a controller, it was a little strange. But now we've got that fixed, so that works a lot better. Next, I removed a particle effect from the main menu. So if we load our main menu back, you can even see kind of. So originally, let's just start this up. You can kind of see little blood droplets coming down from the top above the camera and just dripping down. I had forgotten about that and left a particle effect in there. But now we are officially, as far as I'm aware, again, completely particle-less. So I replaced it with a bunch of blood drop spawners and a red light bulb right above the camera, so that now they all spawn in. So it's technically also random. So when you start up the menu, the blood drops will be different depending on when you started it up. It'll be, yeah, I guess. Anyway, they'll be different, so you got some RNG in your menus now. I'm sure everyone's thrilled for that. Next, weapon select menu usable with mouse and keyboard. This was a problem that was kind of annoying. I tried to solve it a few times before and was not able to figure out how to get it to work, but fortunately I finally managed to. So if we go into the level here, we press Q, we're able to get up a weapons menu, and we're able to kind of look around here. It'd be a little bit easier to show if we go into the shooting range here. So if we start the shooting range and we go in, bring up our menu, then we can go ahead and select our weapon from this menu, which is really only necessary. I mean, it's not necessary, but not on mouse and keyboard anyway. But it's a feature on controllers, so I figured I'd leave it in case anybody really prefers to use it this way. But the problem was that you could get the menu to be selectable on mouse and keyboard or controller. The way that they interact with menus are different from each other, and so if I could get it to work for the controller, it wouldn't work for the mouse and keyboard. So I had to just set up, priorities. It's mainly for controller, so I figured it should just, as long as I made sure that it worked for controller, then I could worry about what to do with it later. Fortunately, I finally found a fix so that Pick up our controller. Hope if I didn't select the same thing. So, now able to select the menu and have it function on our controller as well. And even if you switch around between the two in the middle of a level, it'll work. So that's nice. So now that's an accessibility option that is accessible to everybody. Next, fixed a bug with respawning. Yeah, if you decided that you were going to, if you were just mashing really quick in order to respawn after you died, then there would be a chance that you would actually respawn dead. So, not exactly desirable. Yeah, I fixed that. So, that was really just a matter of basically increasing the lockout time on when you were able to respawn. So it's just, you watch the death animation happen now. That's it. So, no big deal there. Fixed weapon menu, not showing weapons after a new level. Yep. It does that now. The way that I did it before was I had the menu populate the weapon list based on basically when the menu would spawn in. So that was kind of not a great system. So now I just have it populate the menu when you pull it up. So the reason why I left it the way that I did, the way that I had it, the way that it would not populate the list every single time that you pulled this up, was basically just to reduce the amount of code running. It's barely anything, but you know, figured if I could cut down the code wherever I could, then you know, it'd be a slightly better performing. So unfortunately, that made it not really work all that great. So I just, you know, bit the bullet and did it the foolproof way, and it works just fine. Up the new level. We still have all of our weapons here. Next, more models. Yep. Especially since we have a new level, which brings me into the next one. E1M7 has been started, and I am actually fairly far into it. Well, I mean, not super far into it, I guess, but it's got a big footprint right now, anyway. I would having a little change of pace from a haunted house to a ghetto. So from one horror location to another, I guess. But it's you can see one of the new models right here, the bus, which I am very, very proud of. I was very happy with how it turned out. And we've even got our train cars, which is another new model for this level. And our bus stop, another new model. So we're moving and shaking on this so far. So far, it is a fun level to work on. It is very challenging because I want to be able to kind of go from building to building. I want to have a little bit of verticality put into it, a little more. So, yeah, just baby steps, really. I'm pretty sure the amount of verticality in this level so far is covered by most games' tutorials, so nothing crazy, but you know, it's trying to do something new with level design. But going from building to building means that it's difficult to make the the buildings feel a little bit more unique. And it's also a little more difficult because, with buildings, you can have one building that the player is in, like the haunted house in the last level that I made. And you can decorate up that one house a lot, and it all looks good. But with multiple buildings, you have to decorate each building and try to make it look unique, or make it look a little interesting. So that's a challenge. Another challenge is keeping you within the level constraints and trying to make it feel a little bit more realistic with the reasoning of why you can't just run out through the train yard and jump off the map or something. Things like that. It's difficult, and it's a big challenge, but it is a good challenge too. It's something new to think about. Obviously with build engine type maps, more realistic locations, that's always going to be a challenge with level design. Whereas, something like Doom, where the level is a little bit, I guess, kind of inherently enclosed a little bit, a little bit more simplistic in terms of, its visual design and in terms of its reasoning. Like, it doesn't have to be necessarily a completely realistic location when you're doing something like a level for Doom. Whereas you have something like, Duke Nukem or Blood, something in the build engine that has more realistic locations. It's fairly difficult to put up barriers that feel natural from letting you move around different areas. So, yeah, that's a challenge, but fortunately, there's still plenty of those games that I can go back to and look at for some ideas. And sometimes you do just have to bring in a little bit of that simplistic level design into the realistic world, because it's a video game first. And fortunately, I think most people tend to understand that. So I don't think invisible walls blocking you from, dynamite jumping or Molotov jumping. Oops, I slipped up a little bit there. from Molotov jumping over a wall. I don't think most people are going to be too upset or taken out of their immersion when they're not allowed to do something like boost over a wall because it just has an invisible wall blocking it. But anyway, last up we got more materials. Same thing, new level, need some new materials to help differentiate it a little bit. And fortunately, we have so many materials now in the game that we're able to get a lot more combinations of materials out too. So it's not quite as necessary now to make new materials every time, but it's still nice to get them in there just for something new. But that is it for this month. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I'm going to be working on E1M7 pretty much all through the month as far as I know, unless I have another book cover come up that delays me a little bit. But for the most part, it's just full steam ahead on E1M7. And as you can see, progress is definitely progressing. So we'll hopefully... I'm hoping to be done with E1M7 by January, so hopefully one of these patch notes next month next video will be E1M7 finished. But you never can tell sometimes how long these are gonna take. But anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you guys in next month's video. Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a good New Year. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good one.